All right. Ladies and gents, welcome back. It is the Dutch Grand Prix. Now, let me get you the schedule, guys. It's been a bit of a whirlwind here right in the last, with the sprint race yesterday. It's looking very good for McLaren at the moment, guys. I mean, I'll even give you the results from the sprint race yesterday. George Russell takes the win. Leclerc in second, Norris in third, Antonelli in fourth, Piastri in fifth, Verstappen, the home hero, in sixth, Hamilton having a disaster in seventh, Gasly in eighth, Bortoleto in ninth, and Lindblad in 10th. Now that was a sprint race, 8 points up for grabs. Now the qualifying, let's go through it. Lando Norris takes pole for today's Grand Prix. George Russell in second, Antonelli in third, Piastri in fourth, Hamilton in fifth, Leclerc in sixth, Verstappen having a nightmare again in seventh, Lawson, his teammate, doing all right in eighth, and we've got Bortoleto in ninth and Lindblad in 10. So guys, hard to know exactly what's going to happen on this track today. It's very exciting because, well, number one, it is my home track and I love this place. It's very, very special place to me. It's a tricky, twisty, tight track. It's like a karting track. You're on, off, the accelerator and the brake, hard, fast. Hopefully we won't have any accidents today, but Zandvoort does bring some carnage every now and then. And look, like I said, hopefully it doesn't. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're just over the halfway mark. We're at round 12 out of 22. Now, anything can happen. We saw even last year Verstappen over 100 plus points behind the championship, and he nearly comes on to win the bloody thing. Now, it's still looking good for Mercedes. They're there and thereabouts. I mean, even if Antonelli, the championship leader, even if he just sticks and stays on the podium for every race from now on, the chunk of points will definitely come down, but coming onto the podium for every race is a very hard job. But if he can manage it, that'll be good enough for him, I think. Then again, if he starts finishing third all the time and Lewis Hamilton comes on and takes the wins, that lead will start coming down very dramatically. But again, that's best case scenario, I think, for Antonelli. Even just finishing on the podium. Obviously, race wins as well. But best case scenario, excluding winning, he still has got a good shot. But let's go to the track, guys. We'll be back. Let's see what they're up to.
They are championship leader. And then George Russell trying to win his third Grand Prix of the year. He's got 3 sprint wins, 2 Grand Prix wins this year. He's looking for his third. And the driver ahead of him, Lando Norris, with an 18th career pole position in Formula One. He leads again at a circuit where he has won in the past. In 2024, he got a poor launch off the line, was jumped by Max Verstappen, but had devastating pace. We bring you the picture of a drying circuit. It is damp out there, but crucially, it looks like slick territory for the field. The track temperature is 30 degrees, the air temperature...
Oh, lads, to just really throw a spanner in the works. It's a damp track. It obviously was raining this morning. It's now starting to dry up, but believe me, if you're going out on slick tires, the dry tires on a damp track, if you get off the line, the racing line, it can be very tough. So we could definitely be seeing some red flags here, lads. Hopefully we won't, but it's slicks across the board. This will be interesting, because if they get off that racing line by even a millimeter, they're going to lose a little grip and they're going to get probably sideways. They're going to have to slow it down and maybe even spin off. Let's see.
Line, but we are into slick territory, and I don't think we're expecting more rain from here, although it's breezy and you can never be sure.
It's so well poised as we look at the trophy that the winner will pick up in about 90 minutes time if we get a uninterrupted dry race. And it takes us back to a really intriguing moment, and we find ourselves with Lando Norris, not with the race pace in the sprint yesterday, at the head of the field. We find ourselves with a Mercedes pairing behind that, on the evidence of the racing laps that we've run so far this weekend, look quicker. But welcome to the main event. Welcome to Grand Prix Sunday and the beginning of the formation lap. we have the top 4 on medium tyres. Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Liam Lawson, Gabriel Bortoleto and Arvid Lindblad completing the top 10 with softs. Fascinating dynamic with those in the bottom half of the top 10 having the grippier tyre.
So again, I like what Ferrari have done. They learned yesterday from the sprint that the soft tyre was pretty useful. Charles Leclerc actually was making places by the end of the race and not dropping away. And they had a new soft to throw on. So new softs for Hamilton. It is a scrub on for Leclerc. And looking around again, it really looks quite dry. In the bottom of the dip there at turn 3, you see where the moisture's collected, but that's nowhere near the racing line actually. So everyone will be feeling that grip level behind the safety car for some reason for this formation lap, but nonetheless a chance to just try and find some grip. Although I think if you're...
Okay, lads, now that's an interesting one, right? I've been talking about turn 3 is a very, very tricky and important corner to get right on the track. If you notice, they all go to that outside line. Now, in the pure dry conditions, the inside line and literally hugging the entire apex is the actual corner. I know this because it was my local track, and they'd actually gain 2/10 a lap, easy, if they actually did that lap. Now, the guys, they don't race here in and out. They weren't local guys, so you can understand that they don't know the proper racing line. However, in these conditions, the fact that there's a damp track and the racing line will actually be on the outside, for now, the outside line is actually better for them because the dry line is around there, so they'll get more grip. But when the track eventually clears up and dries up properly, the inside line, that's exactly where they need to be.
Championship, Kimi Antonelli with an unbelievable lead going into the second half of the season. Lewis Hamilton with 171 points and George Russell on 168. They are the contenders as Lando Norris, with back-to-back Grand Prix pole positions, is looking for back-to-back Grand Prix victory.
Well, it's not bone dry, especially in the final sector. There is a lot more moisture into turn 13, which has caught a few drivers out through the weekend anyway.
They'll have the tyres nice and warm by the time to get there, but caution will be needed.
And so the revs rise. George Russell on the left-hand side of your picture, Lando Norris on the right in the papaya McLaren. That is Lewis Hamilton. Remember, he's got the soft tyre. It won't just give him a better launch off the line, it will fire up quicker. Does it give him an opportunity in the first 3 turns of the racetrack before we go single file through the fast sweepers of 4, 5, 6 and the epic direction change at 7. This is a racetrack where it is difficult to overtake. It means that the opening laps here are always intense. Perez to the pit lane. We have 21 on the grid. The green flag at the back means we move into the revs rising. And Formula One in 2026 returns in 5 lights time. We're underway with a crawl off the line for George Russell, trying to block Piastri. He does so, but Antonelli will have the loop. Antonelli will have second position, and he does. Will it get worse for George Russell? Charles Leclerc is there. Key move. Championship leader upper place. George Russell did not get off the line well. It is very tight in the background. Lando Norris leads. Can Antonelli have a dream first lap? He's putting the pressure on Lando Norris, who maintains the start. Will they get through in the background there? Oh, it was tight between the two Red Bulls, but they did make it through as we sweep by.
Yeah, that was good feisty stuff between the two Red Bulls, but it was decided as they were headed up into the dunes, the natural running order.
Norris was fighting the car coming out of turn 3. It put Antonelli right with him, and that Mercedes has got a little better top end. So Antonelli keeps putting the pressure on through the middle sector. How aggressive was Russell as he slithered off the line? He's lost a place, but he really went elbows as wide as possible to keep Piastri at bay, and that in turn has cost Piastri, who's down a place. Charles Leclerc with the best start of the bunch there, up 2 on the softs.
Lando Norris finding himself with the lead. Antonelli up a place, Russell down 1. Charles Leclerc up a couple of positions. Oscar Piastri chopped by George Russell off the line. Lewis Hamilton down a place, and Verstappen is ahead of Liam Lawson after they went side by side through the opening corners of the Grand Prix. Your top 10 completed by Pierre Gasly, who's up 2 places, and Arvid Lindblad completes the top 10. Oh, big crash, massive crash in the background. Max Verstappen into the wall, and the greasy surface finds the home hero into the wall. and out of the race with a dramatic moment that will need an intervention from race control, because we have rarely seen cars heavily into the wall there.
Yeah, and there's no natural place to remove the car, I would say, so this could be a full red flag.
No, there's debris absolutely everywhere. It's a big impact that Verstappen's had.
Full red flag, and the Dutch Grand Prix that only exists.
Well, there you go, lads. We were hoping that there wouldn't be a red flag, but here we go. The home hero, Max Verstappen, crashes out. The damped line, listen, it can happen to any driver in the world. I don't care if you're Ayrton Senna. I don't care if you're, I don't know, the back marker, okay, the guy in last position. It can happen to anybody. It's so super tricky. I mean, it really is trying to walk on a tightrope in a hurricane. Now, I know I'm quoting James Bond here, but it really is. It's so tricky. You can catch anyone out, even the best. But the home heroes, oh, they're not going to be happy with this. Their local boy, he's gone.
Yeah, you're never going to save it at those speeds.
Yeah, that is the lesser spotted crash from Max Verstappen.
No, it's sorry. As you say, DC, in these conditions where he has thrived so often, a reminder that they are exceptional talents, but they are all human. A brush of no, it's sorry. And it's Lando Norris who leads, ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who got the jump on George Russell at the start. Charles Leclerc up a couple of places. Piastri, blocked by Russell, fell to 5th. And the home favourite is out before we'd even got to lap 3.
Well, welcome to Zandvoort, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Zandvoort. This place, it attracts accidents. It's such a tough place. And if you've just joined us, welcome, and I'll go through it because this was my home track in 1999, and it's a bitch. It's a bitch. One tiny little error, even though it's very like Monaco. You can't make a mistake, and even though Monaco is just literally surrounded by Armco barriers, and even though Zandvoort isn't, Zandvoort punishes you, tremendously punishes you, and if you go off, you're done. You're done. You might even just go into the gravel or a bit of the sand or the grass, but you ain't coming back on again, man. And if you do, you've done some miracle to try and even keep on the track. But it's literally Max Verstappen, he's out. So guys, welcome. Listen, what I'll say is, here we go. So we're in 3 laps gone out of 72. Lando Norris has taken the lead. Antonelli's jumped up 1 into 2nd. Russell in 3rd, Leclerc in 4th, Piastri in 5th, Hamilton in 6th, Lawson in 7th, Lindblad in 8th, Gasly in 9th, and Colapinto in 10. So, let's just go back to the track and let's just see if there's any more information as to how bad Verstappen's car is. Chances are he's not getting back on the track. They're going to have to fix the wishbones or get something. But let's go back.
Completed the first part of his day. He's just asked if he can jump out. I want a quick loo break by the sounds of things. Russell left to consider a really poor launch off the line. Let's have a look at it right now with the race start.
Yeah, initial reactions were all pretty similar, but you see he lights up the rear axle, and when judging that Piastri was coming, he went back on the defensive. But that was too late to stop his teammate getting around the outside. We've got a great view of the 2 Red Bulls who continue the fight.
Yeah, Leclerc's start was an absolute beauty from 6th place, and he immediately headed towards the outside of the 2nd row. That put the squeeze on Hamilton, who had Verstappen alongside him, and Max was put momentarily on the grass. There you've got the 2 Red Bulls fighting, and this is so narrow here. So Lawson, how brave do you want to go against your teammate, especially when it's Max? Look at Leclerc here, launched through the middle. Hamilton has to cover off, and that's Max on the grass there. Yeah, we didn't see that initially from the overhead, but he's had to lift out of it. That's allowed Lawson to be on his inside right now. And then that battle between the Ferrari and Oscar Piastri continues up into the dip down into 3. Yeah, Russell went aggressive on Piastri, who in turn went aggressive on Hamilton. There's Lawson chancing his arm. How dare he try and pass Max Verstappen around the outside at 3? No chance. He's got one chance to show his hand though, so managed to get away without any contact. And yeah, what a start you can see there from Charles Leclerc out launching
Lewis, and then he takes that wide line with McLaren on the bottom. He's going to appear side by side with a tiny bit of contact actually as they run out of the exit of 1.
Yeah, Piastri just coming across. Hamilton's seen that coming and just thinking, I'm not going to keep my foot in here. Look how aggressive Russell goes. So the gap's there, and then it's just shutting, and that means Oscar has to come out of it. Then he's right towards the pit wall as well, so he gets a bit of wheel spin from more moisture there. Hamilton on the outside, he's sliding, and that's Hamilton shuffled behind there as well.
You're just all instinctive at this point. You're reacting to what you see in front, and as Oscar came across, he was very close to cutting across Charles Leclerc as well. And here's Lawson, who's going to take that wide line, and then thinking, okay, I've got space, maybe I can run this around the line. And then, well, that's as close as you want to be between teammates.
Well, full respect to Lawson. He is never shy of having a go, is he? We've seen it the whole time that he's been in Formula One, and he was. Seeing if he could do a big move.
All right, so lads, let's just jump in while we wait for the restart. So welcome, if you've just joined. We have a red flag incident on lap 3. Verstappen, the home hero at Zandvoort in Holland. He crashed off into the wall. Happens to everybody. Everybody can make a mistake, especially with those greasy, kind of damp conditions. 1 millimeter off the racing dry line, and you're cooked. You're done. So, happens to the best of them. But this is actually looking very. Let's look at the championship here. Hamilton is in 6th. Antonelli is in 2nd. Now this is looking very good. All Antonelli needs to do is just finish in 2nd, even 3rd. I wouldn't be stressing too much if it was him. Even if Russell takes him in the pit lane, in pit stops, or if he just overtakes him, you wouldn't be freaking out too much if you're Kimi Antonelli right now, because look, he's got such a tremendous lead in the championship, and all he's got to do is just keep going. Now at the same time, you can't keep your eye off the McLarens. I mean, McLarens, they win. Lando Norris wins in Hungary, and now all of a sudden Lando Norris is still in the lead. Now, he's safer now, but if he keeps finishing on the podium, Antonelli, he's in a good position. Norris has to just keep winning now. He's got to step on the gas, man. And I think what's happening here is the fact that Norris won in Hungary last week, even though Piastri had a problem, Norris is now, I think they're going to put all their attention into Lando Norris. Now, if they don't, they're idiots. Because if you've got any chance of a comeback now, you go for the guy that has the momentum. He can pick up the points quick, and you just step on the gas, man. You put everything into him. But anyway, we're still on the red flag. Let's go back to trackside and let's see if there's any update here.
That must have been with Max as Max was put off.
So this is an opportunity for George to make good. Now, there's many choices available, but I'm expecting a grid restart, and in that case he can put into play a better procedure off the line.
It's so important as well. Russell versus Antonelli as a subplot. Can either of them win, firstly? Secondly, Russell has to finish ahead of Antonelli here. I just feel like if Kimi manages at the end of this weekend where George has had the upper hand, if Kimi beats him in the end, it just takes away that little bit of momentum that George was trying to pick up. So with that really poor getaway, he's managed to get away with actually just losing 1 spot and immediately has a chance to reverse it.
So they can work on the cars now under this red flag condition, so gives them an opportunity if they felt they were a little bit out, and then with the qualifying car going into racing, then not much time to do anything, but they certainly can replace wings and other parts that are exactly the same as...
Okay guys, so we're just going to take a quick break here. Now, I'm going to keep the live stream going, okay? So we're not actually cutting off at all. I'm just going to be right back in just a few moments. We'll keep the live stream going, and we'll keep an eye, and hopefully we'll get that the red flag off, and hopefully back in the action within a few minutes. Back in a moment.
On the left-hand side of the car, after that momentary contact with Max Verstappen in the opening meters of the Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda with a dramatic start to Formula One once again, his first start of the season. 11th place for him when the red flag was flown. Incident involving Arvid Lindblad has been noted for a yellow flag infringement. So that has been only noted at the moment by race control.
It's going to be something like passing Bortoletto as he's pirouetting at 150 miles per hour, isn't it? Should have backed off.
Yeah, not much you can do in that situation. But I'm just looking, as a reminder, our biggest winners at the start, Colapinto, got himself up 4 places up into the points for... we didn't get to see actually where his overtakes were coming.
Yeah, Lindblad's actually got ahead of Gasly, so we cut away from the Gasly onboard. So Pierre was the man that was closest to hitting Verstappen as he came across the track. Had to get out of it, and somewhere beyond that, obviously then the run down towards turn 1, Arvid Lindblad has gone round him. Can't see there'll be anything wrong with that, but let's not tempt fate with the stewards. There we go, white line ahead, just nibbling that curb in the white line. And that is Verstappen's demise.
Is he okay? That was huge. Is he alright?
Yeah, he's getting out of the car now.
This is further back, and the view of Alex Albon of a spinning Gabriel Bortoleto just into the debris, into the smoke, and past Bortoleto and Max Verstappen, who had already clipped the wall.
Sorry, but what Esteban did is crazy. He's overtaking me in the middle of the crash.
Alex Albon not happy.
I imagine that's what effectively Arvid Lindblad is under investigation for. You see how early Bortoleto got out of shape there, so he's already lit up the rear tyres, and then he tries to turn it in.
It was closing with Gabby. Almost T-bowed him.
I know, I was watching. Yeah, good job there.
Wow. How is he still in the Grand Prix?
I don't know how that wasn't heading straight to a big crash there. Great reactions from Hulkenberg, who just found a bit of grip when he needed it as well.
All the crash structures doing exactly what they're supposed to do. That nose took 2 hits, outer wall and then back into the inside wall.
Here's the shot again. Bortoleto goes, do you go right or left?
Oh wow, he wasn't sure. He couldn't see in the smoke. He needed a spotter like in Days of Thunder. Go high.
I don't even know. Do spotters know that quickly where you should go? Because it's a split-second decision, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you just need to hope he doesn't have a stammer.
Wow, that was lightning fast reactions from the veteran German driver, and he's still in the mix for the Grand Prix. We've got our resumption order. Though, just to let you know what's going on over the next few minutes of your lives, 10-minute warning for the drivers, and then we'll count down. They'll send them out there again from the pit lane, and then race control will decide to have a standing start, and we'll do it all over again. As the DJ immediately goes to work. He didn't go for his lunch, did he? Stayed in position in case there was a red flag.
Yeah, that's impressive how they get the crowd going. And they've got a few DJs positioned around the racetrack for the entertainment of the fans in between the action.
All right, key moment for the teams to decide which way they're going to go on the evidence of the early laps. Ruth Buscombe, talk us through what's happening right now on the pit walls.
So right now on the pit walls, the strategists are calculating and recalculating what tyre they will fit on the car if we get the race resumption. 10 minutes sounds like a long time, but it isn't. The same rules apply in the pit lane as they do in the grid, which means you have to have the tyres fitted and no one can touch the car 5 minutes to go. So you can't make the decision too late. So what is the situation right now? Well, the track is ready for slicks without any additional weather. We're not deciding between inters and slicks. We're trying to decide which compound we want to fit. Now, by regulation, we have to use 2 different kinds of compound. Everybody, it's at the front, started on the medium, so Lando, Russell, Antonelli, Piastri, and then behind him, the rest of the top 10 were on soft. That wasn't really a choice. It was the only new one that they had left. So now it comes to 2 decisions. Do you take and refit that medium tyre, but you have to get it back up to temperature, wrap it up in blankets, try to get as much of the performance back. Bearing in mind, normally that takes 3 hours to get it to the optimum level. Do you use a more used tyre, one that you put on a couple of laps on, probably in your SQ1 session all the way back on Friday, if you want to reuse that medium, or a soft with 1 lap on it from qualifying, if you want to use that? Or do you think about starting on the hard tyre? Now, it might sound crazy, but if for some reason you could get that tyre to the end, you wouldn't need to stop again, no one's really run it, so we don't really know what the degradation is. But Ollie Behrman last year went from the pit lane all the way to the points in P6 by running a really long stint. It was about 50 laps on the hard tyre. Now, nobody except Valtteri Bottas did lap 1 from the grid with a hard tyre fitted. So if I was a strategist right now, I would be looking at his onboard. We know that car doesn't have a lot of grip because it doesn't have a lot of downforce, and I would see how much he's struggling or not in the damp conditions to see whether or not it's even...
Okay, I want to talk about two things. I'm going to jump in and butt in here. She's been sniffing glue in the car park here, lads. There's no way they're going to go with the hard tyre for the whole, 70 laps now? Or 69 laps? I just can't see it. I just can't see this happening. No, you're not going to go hard tyres. If you go on hard tyres now, you maybe get to lap, I would say, and again, listen, I'm taking an educated guess, but you may get to lap 40, 45. Your tyres are going to start going off. Now you're struggling. Now, unless you had someone like Lando Norris and he went on the hards now, he pulled out such an unbelievable lead, like so big, that he was on the hard tyres, and even if he's losing time because the tyres will go off, but he had so much time ahead, he could just stay there. That's a long shot. It's not happening. They're not going to go on the hard tyres. Now, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but that would be a very, very, very bad decision to do. But we'll see. Now, another thing I want to talk about, when I was in my racing, there was some spotters on the track. Now, David Coulthard just did bring this up, and fair enough, it's a valid point. He was on about that you'll have spotters on the track. Now, what spotters mean is you'll have one of your team members, and you'll have a guy sitting out the back. He'll sit at one corner, and he'll have a walkie-talkie back to the engineers and everybody, whoever in the team, and he'd be saying, yeah, look, the track is bad, the line's bad, it's a bit oily here, whatever. Or, Lando Norris is going really well through here. He's picking up actually one more gear. He's actually going through 6th instead of 7th, whereas Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, they're not actually short shifting, where sometimes they maybe should short shift. So in other words, going down Skyflocked, is this Skyflocked? The corner out the back, which is turn 7, which is an awesome corner. Awesome. It just goes straight. It goes right up and then boom, it goes straight down like a roller coaster. So even going through that, you don't necessarily need to be in 8th gear going through there, depending on your gearing, right? So you could have your car actually perform better in 7th gear because you've got the revs up, there's momentum in the 7th, and then all of a sudden when you get to the downhill part, and because it's going down, then you flick into 8th, then you're getting a bit of more momentum. Whereas if you actually get to Skyflocked and you're in let's say you're in 8th and you go through an 8th, now you don't have the momentum from the 7th gear going down the hill. So it's very important to hold on to the camber, the gradient, the shifts all the time. Extremely important. So you'd be looking at that with a spotter as well, which can help. At the same time, these days in Formula 1 and any racing, you've got so much technology on hand. You can see exactly what the guy's doing. You've got the cameras, the onboard. I mean, even with TV now these days, you can interact with you can go on board and see for yourself. And this is us, okay? So can you imagine what they can see? All right, we're limited. They've got all the stuff inside. So they can have spotters literally sitting in the factory back at, let's say it's Mercedes, their factories back in England. They'll have people watching the onboards of Hamilton, Leclerc, or whoever it is, keeping an eye on what they're doing, and then they just transmit the message back to the team. So when it comes to spotters, yeah, maybe there's an advantage still these days, or, I would think, though, it's more like, well, look, it doesn't hurt to have somebody out there, which you'd understand, but they don't need it with all the technology they have these days.
This is giving it good time to dry out further, but all the drivers are on notice to be a little bit more careful in that corner.
Yes, absolutely the case, especially when you've got a World Championship on the line. like Kimi Antonelli in conversation with his race engineer Pete Bonington, how important Pete Bonington's expertise has been to extract the talent of the championship leader. I can tell you the restart order will be based on the classification at the end of lap 1. But those who did overtake, like Esteban Ocon on Alex Albon believed under the crash, under yellow flag conditions, they were noted, no further investigation. So they're going to sort of neutralize that with the restart order.
All right, so guys, just to let you know before we kick off again, welcome to the Dutch Grand Prix, and we've had a red flag in lap 3, the home hero. Max Verstappen crashed out. So I can imagine there's a lot of very, very depressed Dutch fans sitting in the stadium right now, wondering what do they do. In fact, I'm sure probably some of them are even going home at this stage. Just the way it is. And, oh, hang on, guys. There might be an update. 1 second.
The wettest area of the racetrack, despite being banked, and probably the area where Max Verstappen was driving there, it is literally the wettest area of the full racetrack, as it's right at the bottom of the banking where it did.
Okay, they were just talking about Verstappen's crash. So it's very, very unlikely that Verstappen's going to get back on. It's not hope. You're not going to fix tyres or wishbones or suspension in this short of a time. So I think we've got about maybe 2 to 3 minutes left of the red flag, and then we're going to get going again. We're into lap 3 out of 72. This track does attract carnage. It really does. It's a hard one to nail down. Very tough. It's like a karting track. Stop, start, on, off. So we'll see. We'll see. There could be more red flags coming. Hopefully not. But let's see if we can get an update back on track.
By any damage that they've suffered, as well as changing tyres, of course. Back to you.
Thank you, Alex. Having a look at a poor launch off the line for Gabriel Bortoleto as well, before he had his dramatic moment, but he is still a contender in the race. And a reminder for you that the resumption order will be the classification taken at the end of lap 1. So that is within the FIA's jurisdiction, and they have decided at race control that that is where they are going to establish the order from. And the silent sounds of Zandvoort will move from the crowd enjoying themselves back to the main event, back to what we have anticipated all day. So thought we were going to get one of those Grand Prix where it was mixed conditions, maybe an hour before. We have had those mixed conditions, take one of the contenders out in Max Verstappen, but it is looking pretty sunny out there, pretty dry out there. Track temperature is 32 degrees, air temperature is 18, and we are 5 minutes away from the resumption, which is what that klaxon's about. You could hear in the background, if you ever wondered, there's still some glorious old school parts of Formula One, but the klaxon sounding there to the competitors, that's been throughout Formula One history as a way of explaining it. They got rid of the 5-minute boards. Everyone will be told that. Everyone being reminded, if you're wondering what the race engineers are doing at this stage, everyone playing it perfectly by the book. Every single driver was told 10-minute procedure, every single driver, and they will know this. They all experienced, but even Lindblad has had the 10-minute restart procedure in Formula 3 and Formula 2 as a rookie. But everyone doing it by the book in radio communications, and then they can start thinking about another effective first lap of the Grand Prix.
And that gives another opportunity to gain. Of course, the opposing situation is you could lose, but you'll be full of optimism again. It's an opportunity for George Russell to see if he can convert a better getaway off the line. It looked like he let up the rear axle and then lifted out of it and then spun them up again as he tried to defend against Piastri. So it was a sort of double whammy of performance loss.
He didn't get away, did he? And then he started putting in some steering lock as well, which never helps your acceleration. So, but he'll be on the other side of the grid. I wonder if that'll help. Didn't seem to harm Charles Leclerc from 6th on the grid, though, or Oscar, so I think it might have been a George Russell thing rather than a second place on the grid thing, but we'll find out shortly because we'll get a retake. Colapinto's under investigation, Lindblad's under investigation, so those will both be for drilling it past a spinning Max Verstappen, crashing Max Verstappen, or possibly Bortoletto. I think they were both ahead of Bortoletto, in fact, so it'll be Verstappen, and then taking advantage of other people lifting out. But I don't think they'll get a penalty for that.
No, the two aren't linked, are they? You first of all, have you not slowed down for a yellow, is the question, and I'm not sure how you can establish that in a corner that clearly wasn't flat when it only ever is flat in every other lap they've done around here on the dry.
Yeah, and I don't know what anyone's expecting them to do. You know, if Gasly has to back off, or we saw Hülkenberg nearly crash into his teammate that was spinning, you can't then have everyone else piling on the brakes just in case, or you're going to have a bigger accident. So I will be surprised if that's a penalty given for either of them. They both now are in the top 10. Lindblad 8th, best of the rest. Guess who he's alongside? Liam Lawson.
It's happened
always.
Again, every single time. They seem to be glued together. And even though Lawson has been promoted to the big team for this week, same thing applies. So that is hanging over Lindblad and Colapinto. But as you say, Jolien, difficult one unless they don't even have the evidence of the previous lap. They're usually way more lenient on lap one, things like that, especially when you've got cars going in every direction. So I'd be amazed.
It's obviously for the overtakes that they made. I mean, I bet, you know, Norris out front will have gone quicker in that part of the track than those further back, and they'll have obviously had some level of back off, so the car could have done it, but it's just other people have had to avoid an incident, and they get their foot in maybe on a better line. So we haven't seen either of their onboards to see if there was anything particular there, but yeah, I'll be surprised if they come to anything, but I've been surprised before. Tyre choice is available again for anyone, so will we see people stick or twist?
And that is the question. Will they stick or twist is very important. Ruth Buscombe, would you change if you were looking at our main contenders? Would you do anything differently to how they originally started this Grand Prix?
Oh, well, you are asking me, Alex. So I like to have one car sticking and one car twisting to cover off both ideas, especially if I'm hovering around P5, P6, P7, P8, because the leaders have so much advantage over the rest of the cars. If I start on a hard, even if I have to bail out and then fit a soft later around lap 50, I'll get back to where I started. I think it's a good one to try if you're on the back foot to try to win this thing. Otherwise, play it safe and just restart the race as we started before.
Thank you, Ruth. 30 seconds to go.
Well, if you split the cars, you're going to be right with one of them, aren't you? It's a change out front. Softs for Lando Norris. So they've looked at...
All right, lads, if you've just joined on quickly, just before they get going again, they're just starting again. We had a red flag on lap 3 out of 72. Max Verstappen, the home hero, went off into the wall, so he's out. So they're about to restart, and there was a bit of a damp track now. Should be a little drier, but this place just invites crashes, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that we don't get another one. Now, thank God Max Verstappen's actually safe. It's just a little incident. It was nothing major at all. He's totally fine, thank God. And let's see, but Lando Norris, nicely comfortable in the lead here. With Antonelli, he jumped George Russell at the start of the first start of the race. So he's in second, great position for him. George Russell in third, Leclerc in fourth, Piastri in fifth, Hamilton in sixth, Lawson in seventh, Lindblad in eighth, Gasly in ninth, and Colapinto in 10. So let's go back trackside. Let's look at the restart.
The question from Charles Leclerc, and it was bemusement, is that Piastri on a new hard? So he is very confused. McLaren completely splitting things.
Okay, so maybe they know something that up until this point we don't. See, Albon has also gone on a hard, so that's a change of tact for them. Certainly not going to hand sure off the line, but it's clearly going to give you more durability and be able to go deeper into the Grand Prix.
big formation lap here for Piastri. It's going to be a standing start, and he's got to get as much temperature into this set of tyres as he possibly can. He won't need to change again for the rest of the race if he can keep them in. And McLaren obviously realised that having lost the place to a Ferrari, Verstappen's out of this one. Sure, Hamilton's alongside, but...
I mean, this Joe Colby tyre there again.
To be passed by probably more than one car, so try something different with that car, and when Norris go defensive.
Yeah, but they've got no information as to how far that tyre can go. Hardly any long running on a sprint weekend. So it's a good old-fashioned, let's roll the dice.
Stroll, Sainz, Bottas and Perez very late out, as we see Lando Norris making his way to the line for the second start of the Dutch Grand Prix. Stroll's being told that everyone who went on the red light should get a penalty, so I think there was a red light at the end of the pit lane there, and total confusion. I'm hearing that Oliver Bearman has a problem. There is the onboard for the British driver, and he is parked up. We're going to need another go around. We're making you wait for it today. The yellow flag is out. Bearman is one wheel.
My engine broke.
Okay.
Everything broke, everything turned off.
He's managed to get the dash working again, though, so he might be trying to do it.
Oh, lads, what are they doing? I mean, you don't need another run around. Just form up everybody on the grid. They're saying that there might be another lap, lads, for another warm-up lap. There's no need. Just get Bearman off the track, put him to the side, put him in a safe place. Everybody's lined up, ready to go. Just get on with it.
We are awaiting. Surely we'll hit the yellow button and send them round again. That would be the usual expectation. So there was a total mess coming out of the pit lane for 4 cars. Stroll, Sainz, Bottas and Perez are miles back, which is why we've waited all this time. This order is defined by the classification at the end of lap 1. We've got Bearman parked up and still not removed from the racetrack, and now we have the extra formation. So that would not have been a smart thing to do, and it's a guess.
They're going again. There's no need. There's no need. I know, getting the cars warmed up and everything, but this is crazy. This is crazy. These guys just invite drama into racing.
Why you had the massive field spread, because Norris was sitting stationary for such a long time. He's at least on the soft tyres. If you're on a hard tyre, that's miserable.
Yeah, there was something, sorry, DC, there was something in the pit lane. There was something that kept 4 of them behind before we'd even got to Bearman. So that's why there was such a disparity forming up. I think it's probably a good thing we're getting another formation lap in, and then hopefully we'll bring you some motor racing at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's coming. It's just a little bit late.
Why is that a good thing? There's nothing good about them getting an extra lap. In fact, it's even better if they have cold tyres and cold engines, because they're meant to be the best in the world, right? Aren't they? So they should be able to handle cold tyres, cold engines. Well,
Absolutely checking out from the rest of the field. Some of them are just coming through turn 1. Perez at the back, and Lando's in the final sector, but he has absolutely smoked it round.
Yeah, they're meant to keep within 10 car lengths of the car in front. Full man, of course, sets the pace. But this actually, if you are further down the grid, it's quite welcome when you have to really give it Harry flatters to get round to the grid, because you've got much better information on what your balance is with full tanks. The track has clearly dried up in this final section as well.
The best way of warming up tyres is driving fast, snaking around, weaving and putting in some energy on the brakes is all well and good if you're stuck behind a safety car, but if you can go fast, that's the way to put load through the tyres and a bit of energy. The problem is then you pay the price when you get to the grid and the field is really spread out and your tyres start cooling from around this point. Burnouts for Norris. Try and get some surface tyre temperature to help those rears, give him grip off the line. The front's now not doing anything apart from cool.
Beyond the obvious battle between Norris, Antonelli and Russell, your top 3 for the second start. Watch out for Lewis Hamilton on soft tyres, trying to go past Oscar Piastri on hard compound tyres. There will be a big offset compared to what we've seen in recent times. Max Verstappen has retired from the Grand Prix. Oliver Bearman has retired from the Grand Prix. The championship leader on 224 points. Kimi Antonelli's brakes are smoking. That'll disappear once he gets going in a few moments' time. He is waiting. And then the drivers at the front will be told, last car in position. It is defining. There are moments of brinkmanship, the World Championship on the line. The green flag being prepared at the back. We've made you wait for it. 40 minutes after we originally got the formation lap underway, we will now look to the lights for the second start of the Dutch Grand Prix in 2026. Let's go racing once again. Kimi Antonelli off the line, putting pressure on Lando Norris. Antonelli to the inside. Antonelli close with Norris. Antonelli through to the lead on lap one. He cleared it one rival in Russell, and on the second start he cleared Lando Norris. It's a dream getaway for the man on the medium tyres. It was soft tyres for Norris, but he didn't get off the line. And now here we go through Hugenholt's corner. Antonelli, the race leader. Then it's Norris, then Russell, then Piastri. Charles Leclerc finds himself. Oh, look at that! Look at that from Oscar Piastri. Is absolutely unbelievable. He's got himself up to third on the hard tyre. It's a new tyre, and he's got past George Russell.
Yeah, but there must have been, for him to get a pass there must have been a situation with George Russell, because that isn't a big braking zone. And then we see the Ferrari having a look up the inside as well of Charles Leclerc.
Brave from Leclerc. Russell, presumably he's just got no energy. He must have started this one with his battery well down, and he's under pressure again.
Yeah, to get past there, sorry, Alex. Then, well, dream start, as you say, for Antonelli. And George just wasn't even there to take advantage of the fact that Lando Norris ran wide in turn one.
It was close on the exit, but not close enough. And it was really, really dusty out the top side of turn one as well. When Lando tried to hang it around, he just couldn't got onto the dust. Here comes Russell, closer behind Piastri.
Drive-through penalty for Arvid Lindblad for the infringement under the yellow flag after the crash on lap 2 of the Grand Prix. It's lap 6 of 72. Kimi Antonelli has transformed his Grand Prix in the course of 2 starts. Very, very close. Russell finding himself with Charles Leclerc all over the back. Charles Leclerc finding himself in 5th position. And Piastri, remember, doesn't have to change that hard tyre for the rest of the Grand Prix. Russell seeing things come undone after such a strong start to the weekend in the sprint. Russell now finds Kimi Antonelli with a 0.7 of a second advantage over Lando Norris, and a car in between as well. A long way to go as he tries to re-establish himself in the Grand Prix. Antonelli, Norris, Russell. Antonelli, Norris, Piastri, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Lawson, Gasly, Hulkenberg, and Colapinto still under investigation.
Big start from Alex Albon in the Williams, up another 4 places. He's in 12th now, just behind Yuki Tsunoda. So this is going to be interesting to see with the variation of the tyres there, especially Piastri now getting himself into 3rd in the hard. That, in theory, opens up a whole world of opportunity.
It's such a divergence. Norris on the soft, Piastri on the hard, and Oscar's got no pace, but amazingly he had grip on that first lap to make the difference. He's just got anything to use.
That's still weird, though. It's weird. It's almost as if George was opening the door, you know, taking the normal line, but you can see in your mirrors the movement of a car right up your gearbox.
We could see that light flashing, but we've seen a couple of times this year for George Russell on open.
So, guys, a great start for Kimi Antonelli. Pipped Lando Norris off the line, so well done to him. This is not over, though. Lando Norris is only, what, 7/10 behind him now, 8/10, but one little tiny little error, one tiny little thing. Turn on the DRS and boom, you got him. Or not DRS, sorry. Turbo. Get the turbo, get the power charged up, and you're ready to go. He's right on his coattails, man. So let's see what happens now.
Time eaten up by the McLaren.
Yeah, and the team have now reassured him it's back to normal, but that was the phrasing of the sentence. So an issue for George Russell, putting him down to 4th when he would have been dreaming of leaping past Lando Norris. Plenty of drama so far, maybe more to come. Possible rain in the air on the banks of the North Sea. And Kimi Antonelli hasn't got much of a margin right now. It's only 0.7 of a second.
Caught me surprised on those penalties. Both been drive-throughs, which is fairly hard-hitting for Colapinto and for Lindblad. You've got to take those immediately, and we haven't seen them on board, so I can only assume it was something a little bit more serious then.
Yeah, well, their misfortune helps bring Tsunoda up into the points, Albon just outside. So we've got to say that there's a sort of urgency to the way Leclerc is pushing on to the back of Russell. This tells me on those soft tyres, he's not expecting to spend a long time on them. He's risking being in the dirty air of the car in front, searching for that pass.
Great race pace in the sprint. Leclerc on the soft tyres. He knows that that's actually more durable than you think. He could jumble up these tyres at the moment. The soft does look like a medium at times. The hard that Piastri is on fired up really nicely at the race start. It was a brand new tyre compared to a scrub set, so he's got a little bit of an advantage in that, but I'm still surprised.
Kimi Antonelli being told his main loss to Lando Norris right now. It's the turn that we're heading to. The banked turn 3. That's where Antonelli has been asked by Pete Bonington to try and improve things. Hugenholtz corner banked. You can see a variety of different lines through there, and he's being encouraged to try different lines out. There's Norris making use of those soft tyres at the moment. He won't always have the ability to run within 1 second and get overtake mode, but he does at the moment. More recharging ability, more deployment ability to stay within 1 second of the car in front. The incident involving Ollie Behrman has been noted for leaving the pit exit on a red light.
So guys, sorry, just to jump in here, when they're talking now, especially with these conditions, okay, it's not 100% fully dry. There's still that little dampness on the track. There's not a huge amount of tire grip that's actually laid down. So when you're looking at now, Antonelli is on the medium, Norris is on the soft. Yes, Antonelli still has the advantage actually here now, believe it or not, because he'll be able to go the longer way, whereas Norris is not getting the traction with the soft tyres. Now, at the same time, it does flip it around for him. The soft tyres should actually last a lot longer now for Norris, so he should be able to go a little bit better. At the same time, then you've got Kimi Antonelli. He should be able to go a little longer because he's on the medium. But really, my point is that just because they're on lap 7, it doesn't mean that the tyres are going to fade away very fast for Lando Norris. So if you're thinking he might come in lap 15, he'll probably be able to squeeze it to probably lap 20. And he might even have an advantage, because if the tyres don't kick in until lap, let's say 20, or let's say even lap 15 or 16, he'll still have enough bite in those soft tyres that he might just be able to get right up alongside him, overtake, and in he goes into the lead. But we'll see.
Right.
Well, he won't be best pleased. He's understanding the consequence of where he is right now on track, and that's putting him under further pressure. Just a word on the red light coming on in the pit lane. That's controlled by an individual, and there is no reason I can think of when you're releasing cars to do a formation lap that would suddenly stop, unless there was a car blocking the exit, which we didn't see. So I think that might be something that's reviewed and then released as just a procedure error.
It would be a really naff way to get a penalty, wouldn't it, for someone that's trying to get back through for a top 10. Bortoletto's got pace in the Audi. It's not even when the race is underway. It's just to get round to the grid again. So that's hopefully something in nothing, but I'm not going to predict any more penalties.
See that wide line of Russell ahead pulled the dust up into the air. Leclerc on a visibly shallower line in that corner. It just feels that George takes a lot of risk running it on the white line there when we know it's sand.
I mean, guys, look at the gap that Antonelli and Norris have pulled out ahead of Piastri, especially after 6-7 laps. That's a big lead, lads. That's a very big lead. There could be something wrong with Piastri just holding everybody up, really. But this is working very, very well for Norris and Antonelli to battle this out.
Cars on the grid. The way that Antonelli's front brakes were smouldering, he clearly has put more energy through that, to a point of slight risk there. He's put a huge amount through the fronts. So he's worked the brakes, and that's the best way of warming up the tyres. That was the fronts. The rears are what's going to give you the grip off the line. The fronts will then help you stop it when you get to the first turn, and he obviously had that well. But again, it's the mindset of absolutely doing the maximum on the formation lap, and he's ticked the boxes. Start 1, third to second. Start 2, second to first, and now he is in the pound seat for this Grand Prix.
look, they're all professionals, irrespective of the age, but having had the benefit of living through a career, the benefit of youth is not knowing what you don't know, and to extrapolate out on that, you just don't have as many things distracting you. You're just a racing driver. Whereas you get further into your career, sometimes you're getting involved in things away from Grand Prix racing, which you'd think wouldn't affect them in the moment. And that's exactly what they tell themselves when they're at the track. But, you know, baggage is baggage. And, you know, maybe the clarity of thought, the absolute 100% focus all the time on being a Grand Prix driver is enabling him to just keep acing these results.
Under pressure as well. Championship, he has just put it together when he's needed it. So far, we're on lap 13.
And it's now a 1.7 second gap, 1.8 second gap between Antonelli and Norris. The investigation into Ben and Bortoletto for leaving the pit exit on red light is going to go after the race. Probably a smart thing to do. Try and work out why that red light appeared when no obvious reason that we could see from our angles. You are looking at the battle between George Russell, third in the points, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, second in the points. Liam Lawson in seventh place is saying he's got absolutely no grip. Hulkenberg is harrying Pierre Gasly. Hulkenberg, who has the 1 point scoring finish so far this season, trying to get his best result, which he would do if he was able to pass Pierre Gasly and get up to 8th position. Would it be a personal best for him? And then you have those in Arvid Lindblad and Frankie Colapinto, the drive-through pairings after a yellow flag infringement under the crash at the banking at turn 14. They're going to have a cameo driving through the field and trying to get as far as possible. They need an intervention to have any chance later on. Let's see whether George Russell can find a balance. Talking of balance, his teammate Kimi Antonelli on the radio said it's unusually balanced, the car at the moment, and he's not finding it exactly to his liking. But that was the phrase, unusually balanced, from the race leader.
The wind's changed direction slightly, and it's still gusting around, and it really does channel, as you see this shot, between these sand dunes. You just pick up big.
Okay, guys, so I know exactly what he means when Kimi Antonelli just said that the car is unusually balanced. Unusually balanced, right? So what he's actually saying here, and I know this from my experience with the cars, is that their car's not been the best this weekend. They're struggling a little bit, but because of the conditions. So if this was like a heat wave now in Holland and it was 35 degrees, sun splitting the stones, huge amount of grip on the track, they'd suffer. But the fact that these conditions are way less, it's literally just turned into a dry track now for them, and they're just getting up to a bit of pace, and the track is still cool. There was a bit of dampness when we started the race, so this works in their perfect favor. And I would say it's probably going to still be like that now. At the end of the race, I would imagine, if we don't have a red flag, I would imagine by lap 60, it should start to swing in the direction of Norris, because their car is performing a lot better now. So this is far from over, lads. This is far from over.
So Russell saying original plan A. We were talking about the strategic options in the red flag that lasted for 40 minutes.
Well, so they've got an original plan A and then they've got a new plan A. Doesn't that just make it plan B or plan C or D?
I guess what the plan A became plan A plus when they were under the red flag.
Let's see their original plan A. Copy.
The medium. So they spent a long time this morning in briefings. Russell started second, was thinking, how can we win this race and how can we hold back Kimi? It's changed. Now Kimi's gone and he's now got a problem to get back to a podium. So they're thinking, okay, let's recalibrate. But George is saying, okay, what we spoke about this morning is still probably the best thing.
Yeah, Russell having that capacity, the driver who's a two-time Grand Prix winner this year, won the sprint race yesterday, and was grateful to not have a last lap melee caused by the rain. And it is a different story on Sunday. Kimi Antonelli, who was beginning to find his feet in terms of understanding the car a tiny bit here this time last year, but had contact with Charles Leclerc in the race, and then found himself being given the public hurry-up by Toto Wolff after the Italian Grand Prix. And as it stands, he will be heading his home
How the
race.
tyres, how's the pace? I'm pace 0, mate. I've got nothing else.
That could be a bluff, of course, because he also told us, Lando Norris, he didn't have a car quick enough on this track, and then he goes and takes pole position. So it's probably sincere, but it could be a bluff.
Lando, how are the tyres, how's the pace? I'm pace 0, mate. I've got nothing else.
Half a second off the leader's pace.
Yeah, Lando told us it'll be a wet start as well before bolting on a set of slicks. So they know as well that that things are getting broadcast around, but at the same time, he's running at a good pace. Here we go.
Here's a chance. But doesn't it just sum up the disparity between the Mercedes drivers at the moment? George Russell, such a heavy favourite coming into this year, and it looked like at the start of the second half of the season was going to start so strongly for him. He is being harried by Charles Leclerc once again. Leclerc, who was able to get by on lap 18 of the sprint race up against Lando Norris, is now putting serious pressure on George Russell on lap 17 of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and it's impressive that he's been able to run in that much dirty air for so long.
How's the tyre? It's okay, but it's better than Mercedes. Copy.
So Piastri remarking that it doesn't feel particularly good, but gives him a lot of options sitting there in third place. He currently has an advantage of 2.7 seconds over George Russell.
More importantly, that's feedback for Norris ahead, isn't it? They've got a choice to put on a medium or a hard to get...
How's the tyre? It's okay, but it's better than Mercedes. Copy.
In that much longer, he goes for the benefit of the new rubber. Left-hand side of your picture is Bortoletto trying to get past the Cadillac of Sergio Perez. And I reference that because if you get contact between cars further back, sometimes you can get a virtual safety car that can change things. George Russell is exiting the pits now, looking for a little bit of clear air that he didn't have. Charles Leclerc was told box opposite George Russell, so if Russell had gone by, Leclerc had come in and taken the benefit of that, but it's not exactly clean air for George Russell to make use of those tyres.
Yeah, look, it was a slick stop, so there's no way they factored in that he would come out in front of that group. You know, the pit lane time and everything was really good, so he's now going to lose a little bit of performance in the outlap, finding a way past.
Yeah, it's difficult to do anything about him in these corners. He's got so much grip, surely.
Can't do it there. That's what Jolin's telling you all about. It's single file stuff effectively. You've got to wait until the short chute that takes you to the chicane, and Russell finally gets past the out.
Well, it shows how much more grip he's got on a new tyre, that he can do that. Have a little look on the inside and then sweep around the outside of 10, off the line as well. So Piastri pits and will cover off any chance of Russell undercutting, even though George emerged into traffic. This is to defend the podium, and it's slow.
Oh, it's not what Piastri needed. Remember, his advantage was 2.7 seconds, and it's a 5.4 second stop. Narrow pit lane here at Zandvoort. Not a lot of lost time, but if you have a difficult stop, you leave yourself vulnerable, and George Russell gets a change in fortune and gets past Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, it's super frustrating because that was nothing to do with the strategy call. It was due to the time it took to service the car, and well, the reflection on the hard tyre, it didn't hinder him making his way up into the points, but his way up into a podium position, but then that pit stop has just cost all.
Heading towards a two-stopper with how early they've pitted, so I'm kind of surprised that McLaren went for that one to cover off George. Oscar was running fairly well on a hard tyre there, but they've obviously just thought, no, we've got track position at Zandvoort, it's not the easiest to overtake, let's defend that, and they've not managed to do it with the slow stop. So Russell now up into what is a net third, but what do Ferrari do? Box to overtake, so that is no box because Russell pitted to cover that off from Ferrari, who wanted to be on this strategy. So now the thing for Ferrari is to go long, and you know what? Leclerc's got pretty solid pace.
It is good, isn't it? He's on the brink of the window.
No, guys, what Ferrari need to do is, yeah, Leclerc may have the pace, but what they really need to do is actually get Hamilton ahead of him. Even if he's holding up Charles Leclerc and Hamilton is suffering immensely, even if he's just holding everybody up, let Hamilton go and get as many points as possible. Because if they've got any chance to win the championship, this is the time where they put everything into Lewis Hamilton. And I tell you, if they don't, that's extremely disappointing. I don't know why they're not doing it already. They've done this in a few races already. They've thrown away points.
17.5. We need to be better than that. We're aiming for plan A top left.
Because if they pit right now, they will come out with Piastri. So he's just got to make sure that he stays more than less than 18 seconds away from Charles Leclerc, and the Ferraris stay out there. And so Piastri's just got to follow Russell here and make sure that he has track position when these two red cars do pit.
The Ferraris are doing 17.5. We need to be better than that. We're aiming for plan A top left.
And they could try and make this an easier one-stop for them, whereas I think Russell and Piastri they're gonna have to come in again.
Yeah, it was surprising that for Piastri he had to make that early stop on the hards. The whole point of being in a hard tyre is to try and give yourself a bit of an oversight, but it has played out. He's lost because I think it was the right rear looked like it took a while to go on.
Yeah, they've literally played them like socks, haven't they? Jump a couple of places at the start and then be one of the first to come in.
On board with Oscar Piastri, won his last Grand Prix here a year ago, finished third in the World Championship, and has had a difficult time of it at points. Of course, didn't start the first two races of the season, and then got that very encouraging podium in Suzuka. But for Piastri, not getting on entirely with these regulations in the way that he did before. Okay, big moment in the Grand Prix. Antonelli coming in, Norris coming in, a battle of the pit crews, and Mercedes passed the test, McLaren passed the test, as you were half a second quicker for McLaren. Everything that all helps as Charles Leclerc comes in as well. He's got an offset, it's quite nice there. Rapid fire from Ferrari, 4.2.
Rear right gun mount, thought about going back on and then decided nope, that was done, we'll send it. So hopefully the right rear is attached properly for Leclerc.
We'll find out soon enough, won't he? Through Hugenholtz corner, turn 3. And so position maintained for Kimi Antonelli. How does the McLaren respond on the hard compound of tyre? Lando Norris has been able to extract performance. I mean, he's on pole position for the Grand Prix today, but hasn't been happy with the handling of his car throughout the entire weekend. Antonelli has reported an unusual balance in his championship-leading Mercedes. And as we see, a McLaren chasing one Mercedes, we go further back in the pack, and it's Russell looking in the mirrors with Piastri 0.7 of a second away. Piastri being told to get the pace up, and you can see he's using all of the road and a bit more into turn 11.
Yeah, maximum attack, and just looking out for Hamilton as he keeps going. So it'll be interesting to see what lap time can he deliver on those tyres. And we know he's running just behind Leclerc, so we need to see all the lap times settle down. Our guys that have changed are running low, well, 16.4, 16.3s. So Hamilton running a second a lap slower at the moment, but of course in going longer he'll get those fresher tyres later, and I don't think he's under pressure behind that group. He had enough, 6-7 seconds over Lawson when he headed to the pits, so I guess that's the person he'll be looking out for.
Hulkenberg, left-hand side of your picture, gets rid of a tear-off strip. He's half a second away from Pierre Gasly, battling over the points places today. Adjustment on the steering wheel, looking for his second points finish of the year. Lewis Hamilton is our current race leader. He finds himself doing a long stint on the soft tyres. 17.4 last time around. Russell doing a 16.4 on those new hard tyres. And I suspect there'll be quicker pace for Antonelli and Norris once they fire in these laps. There is Lewis Hamilton, top left of your screen, and he's just building the largest offset possible. Dark clouds overhead, but no expected forecast rain as we tick through the laps of the 12th Grand Prix of the year. We now join Liam Lawson. Car ahead of him, unbelievably in the context of this season, is Alex Albon, who put the hards on at the start, just running out there for as long as possible. Told us before the race that he just needs something different to happen. Williams and the Dry just do not have the pace on their own. See whether Lawson can fashion a move to the inside with that superior grip and superior car. And Albon knows there's no point in fighting too hard. Through goes the Kiwi.
No, you'll not have lost any time with that pass happening the way it did. But what we're now seeing is Antonelli, Norris running just below the 16s, 15.8 for Antonelli. So full 2 seconds quicker than Hamilton on those scrub tyres. So it looks like the Ferrari has got no more pace in it.
Yeah, they're absolutely hauling him in, the race leader. And it's the... Let's hear from Lewis.
Tyre update when okay. Tyres are okay.
I think if he knew the lap time difference, he might change his point of view. 2 seconds does not suggest the tyres are okay.
No, 24 laps on a set of softs. It's the strategist split, isn't it? It's a shot at trying to do something from nothing here for Hamilton. And we see a bit of fighting. Gasly with Nico Hülkenberg. They've made a pit stop already, so they'll be fighting for low end of the points.
Yeah, this could shape out for 8th position. Hülkenberg looking for the move. Not around the outside, surely. No, he's way too experienced for that. Gasly hanging on, clinging on right now. You've got Hülkenberg, who is running the soft tyre. Gasly's on the hard, and it looks that way right now.
And ahead is Arvid Lindblad, who's had that drive-through penalty, hasn't he? So that's Lindblad on fairly shod tyres, backing them all up, and Sainz as well.
Yeah, but you see the exit of the second last corner that Gasly got. He absolutely bolted from Hülkenberg, that you can see there as he came out of Tarzan. So you went from Hülkenberg being alongside into the chicane to, well, whether that was just all pure deployment, but it's certainly given him a safe run into Tarzan.
Hulk must have given that boost button a bit of welly down into 11, I'd have thought, and then leaves himself a little bit low down in the state of charge. So Hamilton is going to be told to pit. The tyres, he felt they were okay, and you want to stay out there. A safety car might have helped him out at that point, but really it's a shot at nothing, and Ferrari can see that from the pit wall. So in he comes from the race lead.
Yeah, Hamilton hits his marks. Worth the option for the driver who was at the back of the field for the contenders. Just trying to find something when the gravel traps are plentiful, when the walls are close, and when you've got plenty battling in the midfield. Not the.
So guys, it's a little bit of a boring race for now, but hopefully we're going to get some rain here, which would really mix things up, which would be awesome. But look, welcome to the Dutch Grand Prix. At the moment, we are on lap 26 out of 72. We did have a red flag, if you didn't know. The home hero, Verstappen, went off on lap 3 into the wall. So his race, unfortunately, was over, or is over. At the moment, we have Kimi Antonelli. On the restart, he overtook Lando Norris to take the lead. So we've got Antonelli in the lead, Norris in second, Russell in third, Piastri in fourth, Leclerc in fifth, Hamilton in sixth, Lawson in seventh, Albon in eighth, Alonso in ninth, and Carlos Sainz in 10th. So we've got a long way to go. Now, the good thing is that I don't think this racing's over yet. Now, Norris is just hanging on for dear life right now. Now, I think that eventually, when they've got these tyres on, and let's have a look at the tyres. So we've got Antonelli on the hards, Norris on the hards as well. I still think, though, that when the track at the moment is still a little... It's not bone dry, where there's been so much heat that all of a sudden there's so much grip laid down, and you've got risk of, tyres overheating or the cars overheating in general. When you get to those conditions, the McLaren definitely has the advantage. Now, the reason why Antonelli's doing so good is because it is a bit cooler. There's not a lot of There's not a lot of rubber that has got laid down on the track for now. So it's going to be interesting because the longer the race goes on, the more rubber that gets laid down. So it should start to come into McLaren's favour and advantage, I would reckon at this stage at about lap 60. Now, again, it could be up and down, but I would say lap 60, you might see the McLaren kick into gear here. So fingers crossed we're going to have an epic finale of this race.
They find a new bit of tarmac to rubber in the middle of the road. Sky flag.
Yeah, Hulkenberg went on that tighter line, threw dust in the face of Lindblad, and then he was wide as a consequence of not being on the right line, but managed to crucially keep it on the track.
I think Hulkenberg is really using that.
Excellent work next to Sainz.
At half speed at certain points. Lindblad found that. Now, take two for Pierre Gasly. Potentially cost him 8th place in the Grand Prix, these moments. So this is just a dynamic.
So guys, I'm just going to take a quick break. I'm going to keep the live stream going, so you're not going to miss anything. I'll be right back in just a few.
With fresher rubber, but Zandvoort, it is tough to overtake, no matter if you've got the advantage. And this time, Gasly will use everything he's got, all the horses of that Mercedes power unit in the back of the car, all the electrical deployment. Still can't find his way by.
Oh, that's going to be tight if he dangles a wheel on the exit. Might even have a chance.
And Gasly has to back out of it as well. Lindblad has been scrapping since lap 1 of race 1 in his Formula 1 career, and he's continuing to do so. All the while, Yuki Tsunoda right now on the same strategy, getting close through the sweepers. Turn 7.
I don't understand why you boxed me, man. Like we said that the Cadillacs would be a problem, we didn't.
I understood, Lance. We thought we were struggling so much on the soft. We thought the hard would give us better performance. And I think your pace now is going to be good. But that was the choice we took at the time.
Wheel to wheel, but a lot of respect in that hard racing.
He's just been shuffled back, though. There's a couple of really important places lost there for Gasly. Upgrades on his Alpine. Got a point in the sprint yesterday, but you have to make moves at the first time of asking. You use a little bit of energy by hitting the boost button, and if you don't make it, you become a sitting duck. So the first one, ambitious around the outside of Lindblad into 11. Arvid fancy fighting it, and that was Gasly being passed then by Nico Hulkenberg. And again then, this time Yuki Tsunoda taking advantage as Gasly's having too many good efforts, but not actually achieving the pass. And if you don't move forwards, when you're in a fight like this, in this generation of car, you start to move backwards.
Crucial move as well. Further, we're looking at the low reaches of the points, but Hulkenberg's now got past Sainz on fading tyres. Tsunoda, they've done the swap. Racing Bulls. Kimi Antonelli, Lando Norris, 9/10 of a second, hard tyres. Norris not happy with the balance of his McLaren all the way through the weekend as we were enjoying the subplot for P8 and the dynamic at play there with a lovely couple of moves for Hulkenberg, and Tsunoda just deciding that he might only get one Grand Prix this year. He's going to make the most of it to the apex of 7, sky flat corner. Unbelievable direction change. Fantastic place to watch Formula 1 and a great move. Gets himself back, and after a torrid time of it in 2025, a nice moment for Tsunoda, who will be hoping of a return and a return to the points. But Norris, on that hard tyre, finds himself 9/10 of a second away from Antonelli. He's just not letting Antonelli off the hook in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of coverage of them recently, but he's within pouncing distance. Within a second, he'll get the advantage of the boost, of course, which will give him some performance around the lap, but wanting and prepared to risk sliding around with a little bit more dirty air across his wings.
Traffic for Antonelli out front. He's going to peel out of the way. It's Cadillac of Sergio Perez there. Didn't bulk him by enough to give Norris a sniff. Leclerc now getting closer behind Piastri as well with a faster car.
Talking of a sniff, that was enormous speed onto the main straight. Deployment at slightly different times. Piastri on the hard compound tyre. It's a medium tyre for Charles Leclerc. And he's had good performance, hasn't he, on tyre durability. He's been able to push in a way that few others have across the course of this weekend. Saw that in the sprint race. Norris heaping the pressure on Antonelli. Antonelli's got a little bit of respite for a couple of cars, and then it's melee time. He's got Stroll, Ocon, and then he gets to the gaggle of cars we saw fighting a couple of laps ago. So Antonelli's going to have a lot of cars to pick through. Norris just trying to heap the pressure on any way he can right now.
Yeah, those two out the front are flying as well. Dropping George Russell once again, 7 seconds now between second and third. They're 4 seconds quicker than the squabbling guys for the fringes of the point. So Sainz pits, and they are going to be upon some more back markers soon, which is maybe going to be Lando Norris's best chance at a bit of an attack. Charles Leclerc, again, he's got great traction through the low speed. The McLaren's great in the high speed. The Mercedes has got good top end, and the Ferrari's got great drive.
Yeah, Charles will notice as well that Lewis is taking chunks of time out of him. Those fresh tyres, clean air, clean track. So he'll be keen to not have an attack from his teammate.
Great view from the helicopter of this battle with Piastri. You can see how much Leclerc was catching him until he got to the rear wing. And he's got the advantage, but he's being restricted to Piastri's pace at the moment. It's a battle for 4th position. But Charles Leclerc, given how durable and how kind the Ferrari has been on its tyres this weekend, I believe that he could get up the road, put pressure on Russell as well. Still, Norris continues to operate within overtake mode, within a second, and 0.8 of a second away from the race leader, who is a lock-up away from seeing it disappear.
Charles is seeing very clearly what strategy is being deployed by Piastri in front, and of course they'll both be pre-briefed on what is the best defensive place to use your energy, which then makes it tricky for Charles. He needs to be as close as possible coming off this final turn.
He's had good practice, hasn't he? Passing Lando Norris yesterday in one of our sprint races, few moves for second place as well. He's in the wheel tracks. You can see the lights blinking as the cars start to derate into the first turn. But again, he's just a 1 car length really too far back to think about a lunge in a corner that you really don't brake. It's not a long braking zone, is it? It's quite a late brake and then turn in because of the natural camber of the road. So he knows, though, he said yesterday that after watching Lando for so many laps, he realised that the McLaren can't deploy for too long on the main straight, and right now he'll be learning the same probably about Oscar, but he needs to just be fractionally closer coming out of turn 12.
Yeah, and look in the background, Hamilton a second faster than these two on that final lap, so Hamilton's going to be in the mix within the next 2 laps.
We're looking at the melee of cars as described. It's now coming the way of Kimi Antonelli. He's got past Lance Stroll. Next is Esteban Ocon. Antonelli being ultra cautious through the traffic. Oh, catch it. Lando Norris is going to cost him a couple of tenths and hand off the steering wheel in frustration.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to do that in the banking at 180 miles an hour. But that would suggest to me, because I am an expert in hand language, sign language, frustration. Yeah, not an expert in anything, am I? But the frustration of that hand signal was what's going on with the car.
Charles Leclerc, whoa, still got a front wing, not by much. Trying to use the grip, trying to get by into 2. Piastri will hang it to the inside. Damp there from earlier. Charles Leclerc gets by, and he gets past. Piastri all swapped up as he rejoins the racetrack, and Charles Leclerc is up to 4th.
Yeah, you just don't want to be on that low line at turn 3. Piastri, it's so inviting to have a shot down there and take what would be a conventional line, but the banking means you've got to run it high and fast. Nice move from Leclerc. Thought about it around the outside. Piastri's defence was good enough on the brakes, but not on traction. And now Hamilton might pop down the inside at turn 10. Cheeky one, maybe into 11.
Yeah, he's going to get so much better drive off this corner. Will he decide to deploy, or will he save it for coming off the final corner?
This is the chance for Lewis Hamilton, but no room at turn 11.
He's saving it, wasn't he? You could see the McLaren just extend away before the brakes, but that means that the Ferrari should be well placed to have another chance and do what his teammate did on the last lap.
Yeah, he's close enough. He's going to be... Well, just loses a little bit in the final part of that corner, but here he comes.
To the inside this time for Lewis Hamilton, to the apex first. And Ferrari clearing Oscar Piastri. First time around Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton is up to 5th.
They've got great race pace, haven't they? Leclerc 2.5 seconds up the road now. Piastri got all swap-endy out of turn 3, and that put Hamilton straight on him. Oscar's going to have a run here, but it's not going to be easy to come through.
The dust from the sand dunes.
Yeah.
Picked up with that inside line, DC.
Yeah, the fans that have chosen that place to watch the Grand Prix, expecting just to see some high-speed Formula One action, are probably picking the grit from the sandwiches.
Alonso comes into the pits. Alonso just left it out there on a soft tyre for the entire duration of the Grand Prix.
That Norris moment before, by the way, was really big when we moved on from it because Leclerc suddenly started brawling with Piastri, but it was a huge snap, and he was just 6/10 away at turn 13. So you're trying to get a little closer because that's your chance to make an overtake. There's Alonso rejoining right in front of him. Oh no, that's really not good for Norris. Talk about traffic. Now he's on the low line, and that's not going to be pleasant either. So the gap that was just getting to less than a second has just roared up beyond 2 again as they accelerate. There we go. That's horrible timing there for Lando. But look, Kimi's now in more traffic. There's loads of it to deal with.
Yeah, Kimi Antonelli has Lindblad and Gasly. Gasly's now cleared Lindblad. The gap had come out enormously. They won't be spending any polite conversation on the drivers' parade in recent weeks because Lindblad has played the spoiler to perfection there. And look at the gap, 6.2 seconds between Gasly and Tsunoda. He ran ahead, so good tactics for Racing Bulls as Lindblad plays the team game, and Hulkenberg has only run the soft tyre. So Hulkenberg has only run 1 compound in the Grand Prix. It's not a mandatory stop, mandatory 2 tyre compounds. He's in 8th, Tsunoda in 9th, Gasly in P10, out front 1.5 second gap for the lead of the Grand Prix. Our next question becomes, how quickly can Charles Leclerc close in on George Russell for the final podium place? Russell able to get past Oscar Piastri after a slow stop for the McLaren driver, and McLaren, who had the option with the hard tyres on the car, bringing Piastri in. Piastri now finds himself at the back of the pack of the heavy hitters.
I think the answer is he's going to be on Russell very quickly because Russell's got a bit of clean air up to Ocon, but Leclerc hunting him down almost 3/4 of a second lap faster last time.
You can see Lando Norris fighting that car. He's been fighting it through turn 10 all the way through the weekend. We saw the onboard where he was fighting it. That's Alonso trying to make a move. There you go. On board on the left-hand side, and then they just blurred into view. He's trying to get past Alex Albon for P12. 1.1 seconds. This is going to ebb and flow as Antonelli makes his way through the traffic, but the gaps are going to elongate now. He's got a bit of a breather. He's got through the difficult stuff.
Gasly, the next car, a few seconds ahead. We know Alonso's got fresh tyres because he's just come out into the man who's in second place in the Grand Prix, and he's still fighting there with Alex Albon just behind. So Norris is back within a second, and I do think that was the frustration because he knows there's traffic around. When he had the gap down to 6/10, he's obviously happy on this hard tyre. Seems to be a little bit quicker than Antonelli, I would say, at this stage, and he knows he needs to keep the pressure on. There will surely be another pit stop to come, and there's another undercut chance, a little bit of strategy to play its hand here, but Norris knows he has to keep on the gearbox of Antonelli, if not try and pass him here, because if you start falling away before that pit stop window, it'll give Mercedes just a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is on tyre performance, Antonelli and Norris running around, call it 17 flat between the two of them. We've still got Hamilton at 16 flat, full second faster on the same hard compound, but just much fresher set of tyres.
Interested to see on the left-hand side, you've got Alonso fighting with Albon, so you've got an upgraded Honda power unit trying to clear the Mercedes power unit in the back of the Williams. If we stick with it, we're about to see what happens when they launch up to top speed then.
Just reading that message there, Alex, from the FIA, saying no further investigation needed for the incident between Hamilton and Piastri, and it goes under the title driving erratically. It almost feels that that's not the right terminology for highly experienced Grand Prix drivers, if you know what I mean. It's like there was nothing erratic in his driving. It may have caught Hamilton. I assume he felt he moved late to defend, but driving overly defensively. You know, I'm just trying to think, what is the wording?
Yeah, it's over the top.
If you'd never watched Formula One before and you thought, my God, these guys drive erratically.
Yeah, black and white warning flag for Oscar Piastri for that. Anyway, we move on. It's not going to affect his race. He's 6.3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc has closed up. Didn't take too long. As predicted by DC, he's riding the wheel tracks of George Russell now. And Lando Norris, I have to say, he seems to have just unlocked the joy of being a world champion, and he is at the fullest extent of his capabilities. Antonelli, where Norris was a year ago, having to play the percentages, having to make sure that he laps traffic with enough of a margin. It's a contrast of two different seasons, and he still won't let Antonelli escape.
So, guys, this is going to be interesting now. It's obviously between Antonelli and Norris. Now, Antonelli definitely has the edge here. He's had the lead since the restart of the race. Norris is just on his coattails here at just 7/10 behind him. They're both on the hard tyres, 18 laps in. They're 40 laps gone out of 72. So we're over the halfway mark, obviously. But I would imagine that they're going to be making one more pit stop. Now, I just can't see that they're going to go for another 32 laps. So that would be actually, 50 laps on the hard tires. Now, it's a short track, but it's very tight and twisty. It's, it's tough. It's heavy and tough on the tires. You would imagine that they're going to come in one more time. I could be wrong, but you would probably see them come in at maybe, I would imagine, lap 55 to 60. Try and stay out there as long as possible. I mean, they've got a huge lead over Russell in third. I mean, Russell's 10 seconds behind. So even if they do start to fall off and they start going slower, one, you've got George Russell on the same. And but Antonelli's actually come into the pit lane, so that takes it all out. Let's see what happens.
Seconds under pressure from Mercedes. Exactly what they were looking for. And he will rejoin the racetrack. Russell coming into the pits as well at the same moment.
Double stack from Mercedes then. Russell having to cover off. Charles Leclerc's advances are doing exactly the same thing. The threat of an undercut. So Mercedes double stacking to be efficiently with Russell as well. It's always a risk there. If Antonelli for some reason has a slow stop, then both of their races have gone kaput. But they're well exercised, aren't they?
Yeah, it was always going to be the case. I think that Russell needed to come for tyres, didn't lose him any time. The Audi there being incredibly fair with the race leader, getting well out of the way.
What sort of pace does Norris have now then? He's got a nice clear bit of track ahead of him. He'll pass Yuki Tsunoda.
Well, just what I was saying about the pit stops, lads. Well, you can throw that out anyway. But Antonelli comes back on again with hard tyres. Okay, so he's going to go to the end of the race. All right, fair enough. Different strategies and everything. Now, will Norris, what I was just talking about, will Norris maybe hold on? And it's definitely in his best interest now to don't come in yet. For Christ's sake, you've got to do something different now, because if he comes in, unless he gets stuck in traffic, he's going to be just behind Antonelli again. So he's going to have to maybe, like I was saying, maybe come in at lap 55 to 60, stick the hard tyres on. You've got only 12 laps left, and hopefully you've got some momentum here. Thing is, can Norris keep it going? Now, he does have a 10-second lead over Charles Leclerc, which is very, very good, because even if he does start to go off a little bit, yes, of course, the pit stop's going to screw him, but he still has a little now, maybe 1 or 2 laps, maybe, max 3. He's got a little breathing room to try and just keep a bit of momentum, and maybe something will happen to Leclerc. Maybe he'll come in. Hamilton, he's got to keep it going as long as he can and just try and squeeze out a bigger lead.
Maintaining the pace.
What do you mean? Why I stopped 2 laps after Russell.
Charles doesn't love the strategy. What does Lando Norris do? Top left of your picture. Let's look at that. Does he extend for another lap? He does.
Yeah, so build.
What do you mean? Why I stopped 2 laps after Russell.
On his outlap, So Leclerc doesn't box, he doesn't fancy it, and from his point of view, I can completely understand why. He wants to do what...
Now that's the window we need to look at, guys, here. If you're watching the telemetry on board, and I'll keep the lap times open here. Norris has got a 17-second lead over Antonelli, so obviously he's 17 seconds behind Antonelli. That needs to be up to about 23, really, to play it safe. The 22 circuit sort of average pit stop window here. So Antonelli is still looking very good. He's still looking very, very good. Norris has got to go hard, man. He's got to go aggressive in attack. He's got to go on the softs, unless he starts bleeding time now. But let's keep an eye on that clock. The 17-second gap.
I mean, he is sniffing the fumes from the Ferrari ahead of him. He's so much faster through this middle sector. Okay, there's a little bit of traffic ahead, but I do think...
Hey, Alfred, how you doing, my man? Hamilton, God, as in you think this is shocking? Or you think that he's got a chance? Or how do you think?
You're going to get an
interested to see what you think.
Hamilton go if he doesn't come in. I'm sure he can argue about his strategy, but he won't be able to do it, disobey a direct team order, and he comes in and clears the path for Hamilton.
Yeah, that will be discussed afterwards, and he'll be able to show now, with the lap time he does in clean air, exactly how much time he lost.
Yeah, it looks to be about a second that he lost, or at least...
Norris is gay, huh? Well, I actually did a podcast last year, and it actually went quite well. And I actually labelled it, "Is Lando Norris actually gay?" I genuinely did. And I wasn't having a go off him. I think he is. The way he was, like, frothing at the mouth over Carlos Sainz for the last couple of years. I'm genuinely not having a go here. And, you know, if he's gay, he's gay. Who cares? You just sort of wonder because, you know, Norris has had some girlfriends, and what's he up to here?
Good job.
This is an unusual moment in the relationship between Lewis and Ferrari because, as we've just said, that's the most assertive.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right, Alfred, yeah. He does have a good chance of a podium. He's in second. Now, Antonelli, he's at 16.2 behind Norris. He needs to have that lead extended, but Norris needs to have that lead extended from 16.2 up to at least 23 seconds to have a good shot. Unless he goes on the soft tyres, holds on as long as possible. He comes in, Norris, makes the pit stop, goes on the softs at about maybe lap 55, I would reckon, if he can hold off for that long. And then start chewing into Antonelli's lead, which he probably should have when everybody else comes into the pit lane. So this is not over here. As long as they make the good tyre choice here with Norris.
At the end, McLaren find a 2.9 second stop. Piastri back into the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton not happy with having his race pace compromised for a couple of laps. He's currently second. Lando Norris is the race leader. He did a 1:17.1 last time around. Antonelli did a 1:16.2.
So Hamilton went 1.3 seconds quicker when he wasn't following Leclerc. So that's the hold-up. No grip for Antonelli, who's still matching pace with Norris. He's a little bit quicker than Lando on the last lap, but he needs to be making inroads here because he's on the fresh tyres, and soon Norris will pit and be trying to hunt him down.
Well, Jolien, you gave the marker there. Hamilton in clear air is going 1.3 seconds quicker. At the moment, it's 0.9 of a second between Lando Norris on fading old hard tyres and Kimi Antonelli on fresh ones. So Antonelli not finding the peak performance that he might have expected from the rubber. And does that give Lando Norris an opportunity? A reminder for you that he's going to have to make that pass on the racetrack and make use of fresher rubber by the end of the Grand Prix. Trying to win back-to-back Grand Prix. Antonelli trying to end all sorts of chat about a championship battle and extend his margin even further as he heads to his home race. And that is going to be some spectacle at Monza. We've got these two side by side for a moment. McLaren clearing the Red Bull, and Oscar Piastri easily getting past Liam Lawson. Lawson looking set for more points once again. 24 laps on the medium tyres for Liam Lawson. Piastri gets by. Charles Leclerc has the fastest lap of the race. He is now on the hard tyre. We will see whether Antonelli can find a little bit more form. At the moment, last time around, Kimi Antonelli 0.2 slower than George Russell, in complete contrast to what we'd seen earlier in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's that sort of ever-changing balance that you get as track rubber's in, different fuel loads, and that's why they do the adjustment to the front wing during the pit stop, to if you're going from compound to compound, or if the driver's just calling that this isn't working with the balance you gave me. So you're chasing it. It's constantly evolving, and you're trying to get that window of performance, which right now Russell is finding some lap time.
Yeah, okay, Norris actually has to come in now. You can see there's the window, right? You've got Norris in the lead, and Antonelli's now 14 seconds behind. He was 17, so he's actually gaining on Norris. The longer Norris stays out now, that lead's going to get smaller, and Antonelli's going to... that lead is going to get smaller and smaller between Antonelli versus Norris, unless Hamilton stays out, and then he holds up Antonelli, and then he gets a chance, but you can't take that chance. They're going to have to bring in Norris right now, get him on either the medium or soft preferably, and then he'd have 25 laps on the soft. So even with medium tyres, he'd still have an advantage because they'd technically bring more grip. And here comes Norris.
Something under 3 seconds. They go to work. The swarm of McLaren mechanics deliver. 3.2 will give him a chance, and it's game on to win the race.
Yeah, that was the benefit of being world champions, is you get a clean run into your pit box. So it looked quicker than the 3.2 seconds that came up on the screen.
I thought the same. Maybe the timing keepers are a little bit stodgy today instead of the pit crews. Someone is anyway, but it was a decent effort there for McLaren. Get the benefit of having a nice open entry. Decent for the world champions team, and 5 seconds he's got to now make up to Kimi Antonelli to try and make a fight for another race win here. Back to back Norris is seeking.
Yeah, well, Antonelli 15.
Now, okay guys, if you're wondering what the hell am I doing frailing my hands all around the place, he went on hard tyres. Unless they've got an insane amount of grip on that McLaren car and they need to actually lose grip, well, okay then. But it doesn't look like that at the moment. It really doesn't look it, because the track isn't, burning the track down, melting with rubber down on the track, and it's sunny skies and everything. It's not. It's not. Okay, he does have one advantage, Norris, though, at the same time. He's on hard tyres with 0 laps gone. Antonelli has 7 laps gone. It's not a huge difference, but okay, it's a little bit. But I mean, Norris now, he's got to be really on it. I really truly hope that McLaren are knowing what they're doing here, and they're not just trying to match Antonelli here, because the medium tyres could definitely go for another 23 laps.
Russell has put 3-4 laps in consistently, quicker than Kimi Antonelli. So Russell taking the performance from those hard tyres. We'll see whether Antonelli is leaving something in the tank in order to defend from Norris later on. Lewis Hamilton so frustrated that Ferrari didn't give him the complete benefit of that fresh rubber, and he continues out there at the moment. 23 lap old hard tyres.
Right, we're just waiting to see what Norris is going to unleash. We've got a purple in the first, we got a purple in the second. How fast will this fastest lap be? You can see Antonelli as he approaches that penultimate corner.
DC, that gap was 5 seconds a moment ago. It's now 3.2. This is going to be a big lap here from Norris.
Oh, and it's a 14.3. Thank you very much.
I wanted to let you finish that all off, DC. It's like,
well, look,
it's like a chart countdown on a Sunday afternoon.
We are thinking something different. Happy to go to a new medium.
It did look great on Charles, so it's slower.
We are not sure.
But you guys have got the data, so figure it out, please.
Well, Lewis Hamilton is just not thrilled with things right now.
No, but it's not like this is the first time. It's been a sort of reoccurring theme that they'll present information.
Okay, guys, so the gap is kind of coming down a touch, but the good news is for Norris and McLaren fans, Norris has put in a 1:14.3, Antonelli a 1:15.8. That's a second and a half in one lap. That's huge. That's monstrous. If he keeps this up for another 3 or 4 laps, it's done. He's got the lead. And he could win the race. Because obviously Hamilton, he's on 24 laps on the hard, so he'll definitely be coming in again. There's no doubt about it. If he doesn't, well, he's just going to get screwed by the other two.
Slower. We're not sure. But you guys have got the data, so figure it out, please.
Some strategist from the cockpit.
It still feels that there's a bit of a legacy from the Sebastian Vettel era of Ferrari, to be honest, consulting the driver on the strategy. Charles Leclerc had that introduced as well. They always seem to pose the questions. Hamilton, so many times you'd hear Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes era not like a strategy and acquiesce to it and say, all right, I'm going to trust you guys that you've got the data and you know what's best.
1.3 seconds the gap, Norris to Antonelli. Lando is absolutely flying. Kimi is now stuck in behind Lewis Hamilton out front. He'll hope that Lewis is going to pit this lap, otherwise he's going to have a battle ahead and a load of dirty air. And look at this, on board the McLaren that has made mincemeat of the advantage that Antonelli built up. It's true, Kimi's not loving this set of tyres.
No, he didn't have the pace. So the only question for Antonelli was he leaving something in reserve for this fight? The answer is in front of you. The answer is 0.7 of a second.
Still recommend a wider line, exit turn 10.
I can't look at that now, sorry.
Yeah, that car does look a bit squirmy on the back, and this is going to give us a first indication.
Still recommend a wider line, exit turn 10.
I can't look at that now, sorry.
Sprint yesterday, and it meant that he was vulnerable to attack. If you don't have rears, you don't have traction, you can't get off the corners somewhere like here very smoothly, and Norris is absolutely glued to the back of Antonelli.
Double downshift, take advantage of as much harvesting as possible. Deceleration through the rear axle, charges up the battery.
Look how close the McLaren's staying even in the high speed.
Piastri being told that that McLaren...
One would imagine now Norris is going to get him on the main straight going into turn one. You'd have to imagine that.
For our championship leader, his last race as a teenager in Formula One, and he is being examined by the world champion in every facet of his driving. This is a brilliant multi-generation battle. You've got Lewis Hamilton out front just hoping for something to break his way. You've got Antonelli trying to become the youngest Formula One champion in history, and here comes the reigning champion in the wheel tracks with more grip, able to do more with the car, and he is nearly nudging Antonelli through the first turn.
Antonelli had to run it deep on the brakes, and that compromised his mid-corner. So what a fantastic battle for the podium. We have these three cars, and Antonelli at 19, he's got no idea how many decades of fun he has ahead of him.
Norris all over the back of him. Norris not having to think about the title. Antonelli can only think about the title. He's revelled in having this opportunity, but start of the second half of the season, you've got a lapped car, and then a car on fading tyres, 27-lap-old hard tyres, and then what will become the top two in the Grand Prix still there. Norris closing in, not going to be able to get by into 11th.
Antonelli is struggling for traction. You can see it. He couldn't move to the right-hand side to open up turn 10, and then he was just struggling to get the rear grip down.
Hamilton being there will help him. He'll get the slipstream off the back of Hamilton, but it does seem that Lando is even closer.
Lando Norris is hurrying Antonelli through. Can he find his way by in Tarzan? Antonelli diving on Hamilton. Lando Norris around the outside, and Lando Norris is going to go through. Lando Norris gets past Kimi Antonelli, and that will surely eventually be for the lead.
Wow, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Lando trying to check out immediately. Lewis Hamilton running his own race. And still, the sand dunes and salty air of Zandvoort have given us another Grand Prix.
Nice one, Norris.
Did the form book when Antonelli hit the front earlier on. Brilliant start one, brilliant start two. It looked like it would be his race. And now Hamilton still has P1, but Norris has the fresher tyres. Norris has the belief, and In Budapest it was special, but that is the lead for Lando Norris. The Netherlands are acclaiming a quite brilliant couple of laps from Lando Norris, who's going to go back-to-back and win consecutive races in Formula One if that McLaren holds to the flag. He's cleared Antonelli and Hamilton and leads the Dutch Grand Prix.
What a lap of racing that was from Norris. The pass on Antonelli. Antonelli's going to come past Hamilton now surely as well, who's got ailing tyres. There he goes, but it's a lap too late for Kimi. Needed to pull it off last time around, and Norris was decisive around the outside.
Yeah, that Ocon car's the exit of turn 3, so that'll be a bit tricky to recover.
Ocon, there he is. He is off the racing line, so they can deal with that with the virtual, and they will deal with it with the virtual.
There's a yellow flag. What's going on with the yellow flag? Virtual safety car. Here we go.
Antonelli looking for that move on Hamilton, unable to find it. Norris placing the car on the racing line, using the grip, getting by, and Esteban Ocon makes it a double pass retirement. Antonelli might have wanted a full safety car for another nibble back, but crucially, on that final tyre set, with the racetrack rubbered in, the balance shifting, and Lando Norris, who says he's not had the pace all weekend long, just seems to be every inch the world champion with a great lap.
Are you using me as a guinea pig, or what's going on? How long you have me stay out?
Well, it might pay off for him right now because he'll...
Are you using me as a guinea pig, or what's going on? How long you have me stay out?
The driver that's just been passed twice in quick succession, thinking I am just absolutely dead meat here, but it's going to pay off with a little bit of luck here, a bit of fortune for Hamilton to get the cheap pit stop.
Yep, massive benefit. It's going to be 9 seconds lost under virtual safety car conditions. Have not been able to satisfactorily recover the Haas, and Ferrari double sacking. In comes Charles Leclerc as well.
Yeah, the virtual safety car, the timing of it meant that no one was able to take that sort of first reaction advantage other than Bortoleto, who then has retired the car. So we had to wait for everyone to go around a lap behind the virtual, so the strategists could look at with the few laps that we're going to have of racing once this car's recovered.
Not surprised Hamilton pitted. I am surprised that Leclerc pitted. Done 11 laps on his hard tyres. Was a few laps better off than Russell. Obviously fancy the cheap pit stop as well. It's not going to be great for Charles when he realises he's taken the extra pit stop though, and he's now well down on Lewis, who's got a free run then to go and attack George Russell. That works well for Ferrari in that regard. They've got the man that's ahead in the championship having a good crack at clearing the Mercedes ahead. So it's a used soft tyre for Hamilton, but still quite a big offset on Russell, who was the first to blink along with his teammate for the second round of pit stops.
Well, the big crane is getting in position, so probably just another lap of virtual if they're able to get it attached to that car quite quickly.
Let's review this then, because it was a spectacular way to take the race lead for Lando Norris. First of all, the battle for P2 on track at the moment. Antonelli ahead, DC.
Yeah, just absolutely brilliant. You would normally not really have the offset in braking, but with Antonelli having taken the early line, the narrow line onto the dust, there was that offset, and then great deployment of the energy. Hamilton on those older tyres, and there you go, the lead in one lap.
This was on board with Kimi Antonelli into Tarzan corner. And Antonelli finding himself with more points over his rivals. Antonelli's made that stop. Antonelli's come in under the virtual safety car. He's taken on the soft tyres. And it was a slow stop as he did so, 4.6 seconds. So we were watching the battle for the top 3 places, and now George Russell finds himself second on the road.
Yeah, we didn't see him dive in, but position-wise, coming out onto track, we'll have the benefit as we get into the closing stages. Only going to be a few laps of racing. You saw the crane was lifting the car.
I think we need to take it. I'm a bit worried now.
Good check. Virtual safety car's ending. I'm not sure you're going to get the chance, Lando. The virtual safety car is ending. Esteban Ocon coming to a halt. And it goes. Decision made for McLaren. He was worried about taking the hard tyres to the end. George Russell would take his hard tyres to the end.
I think we need to take it. I'm a bit worried now.
Good check. Yeah, I think Norris is going to be able to hang on with the lead he has and the laps that are left. He was losing a second a lap. Still going to be comfortable, so it's all eyes on this battle for third place.
Gasly's got a chance, left-hand side of your screen. Yuki Tsunoda with the chop. Gasly to the inside, medium tyres. This is for the final point, and he gets it. He gets by, so all of that effort from earlier on undone, and Gasly is able to get past. Alonso is running in 9th position. Ooh, off the racing line, clearing past. Kimi Antonelli was the Audi there. Antonelli needs no motivation at all. Finds himself getting past the Audi. Lewis Hamilton 1.4 seconds away. Lando Norris's advantage 6.9 seconds over George Russell, 12.6 seconds over Antonelli.
Just think about we might get a team here if Kimi got the plate.
Paper.
Can we work as a team here? Asked George Russell, trying to bag a podium. Kimi can't win the Grand Prix. Can we bag a double podium? And I'll leave the tactics to you, says the driver, third in the points, going in.
Just think about we might get a team here if Kimi got the plate.
Paper.
Of dramatic moments in the final expected Dutch Grand Prix. For the moment, Max Verstappen into the wall after a bit of rain in the build-up. It was everyone on slick tyres, Verstappen clipping the white line and heading into the barrier. Ocon broke down on the lap to the second start. Stroll and Ocon have also retired, and it is Lando Norris who finds himself with an advantage of 7.7 seconds over George Russell. Antonelli 12.4.
Yeah, but you've got to say, Norris saying he was concerned about the tyres. He's done still a very impressive time, 14.7. And
well, in fairness, guys, Lando Norris did have the pace all weekend. He really did, you know. I mean, obviously the track came into play for Antonelli. Now, it's not over yet, but I mean, he's got a 7-second lead over Russell. And Antonelli down in third now. Now, this is obviously better for Norris for the championship. He obviously they've got to step on the gas now, and I've got to give it to McLaren. Looks like they're putting all of their attention into Lando Norris now, because they need to get him getting maximum bloody points. Ferrari are not doing that. With Ferrari with Hamilton up to now. Now, we can see Hamilton ahead for now, but they've thrown away points. Thrown points away. But let's see now exactly what will happen for the rest of this race, because this is looking bloody good for Lando Norris. They didn't do anything special in the pit stops, the McLarens. They just had a good pit stop, and they just decided to stay out a little later. And really, they had to. They couldn't just come in and match Mercedes and just like, oh, well, that's it now, fine, we're going to match and match. They had to get out of the lead and extend, and then hopefully have that tyre wear less, because Antonelli came in sooner.
As well, Antonelli, Hamilton, Leclerc and Piastri all taking the chance to bolt on soft tyres with the virtual safety car at the end. Lando Norris getting a little bit worried, watching on the big screens as he was circulating at reduced speed. Plenty of them around here, around the 2.6 miles of Zandvoort circuit, and finding himself with no choice in the end. It was withdrawn before McLaren could take the option. He might have just dropped behind Russell, but would have had an easy task, you would imagine, on the evidence that we've seen in this Grand Prix to go past him. Either way, that was taken out of McLaren's hands, and we're on lap 61 of 72, 12th round of the Formula One World Championship. A World Championship that will continue to be led by Kimi Antonelli, who will be heading for home, heading for Monza, and he will be doing so with a very healthy lead as it stands. He is crucially ahead of Hamilton, his nearest rival, for the title at this stage of the Grand Prix. And gentlemen, beyond the result overall, just the fact that Antonelli has had a strong Sunday once more. We talked about whether Russell was able to arrest that momentum. Antonelli's response has been emphatic across the course of the Grand Prix today. Got the launch on Russell on the first start, got the launch on Lando on the second start. Might not be the win, but Antonelli finding a way to basically avoid bad weekends.
Yeah, it felt that he didn't quite get his qualifying all in order for the sprint. Both of them seemingly not quite getting clean laps for qualifying for the Grand Prix, but the pace of Antonelli in race trim has just been strong all year, so this is putting George under a little bit of pressure as he works his way towards them. That gap now, as you can see, only just under 3 seconds. And a notable mention to Alonso, running in 9th in the Aston Martin. It doesn't look like Gasly's reducing that gap very quickly.
He'll get there by the end of the race, you'd think, but yeah, as you say, it's only 0.3 of a second for Gasly, making the impression on Alonso, looking for his second point-scoring finish of the season, and that would be a real boon for everyone at Silverstone and everyone who has developed the car from a pretty difficult specification, the massive upgrade for Budapest of the chassis, and the power unit upgrade as well. So Gasly will get that gap down by the end of the race, but I think he will meet a very motivated two-time world champion in the battlefield.
Alonso's on 26-lap-old hard, so they're rolling the dice here, Aston Martin, to just try and sneak another point. Antonelli closing down on Russell, who will know his teammate is going to be approaching. Better tyres and 0.7 per lap better pace. And then Hamilton's coming with him, so that'll be the fight, whether Hamilton can somehow out of this race mount a challenge for a podium. Not been an easy weekend for him. He's been not happy with the team through a lot of it, but it's worked out for him. The late pit stop, staying out, has given him that cheap pit stop. Has meant his teammates taking an extra pit stop, as has Antonelli. And there's Lewis in the background behind Kimi, looking at actually second place in this one.
Yeah, you've heard the frustration from Hamilton. It's almost like he's the strategist and the driver. So that's definitely, that relationship needs to be fine-tuned. It feels like all the time they're, not quite aligned. It's got to be affecting their performance.
Yeah, in their second year as well. I mean, a long time. So, as you say, improvements to be made in that department. Antonelli is now 1.8 seconds away from the back of George Russell. At the moment, Russell taking points out of Antonelli, but Antonelli is just way quicker. 0.6 of a second last time around. Sort of make the move. Norris, Russell, Antonelli, Hamilton, Leclerc, Piastri, who had the hard tyre on at one stage of the Grand Prix, didn't go long on that first stint with it. And then Liam Lawson sort of in a no-man's land, but with the points in a Red Bull race for him, which is something that he didn't have with a couple of starts at the beginning of last year. Hulkenberg has been racing, a couple of great moves around the outside, and he's been on the hard tyres for 14 years. Hulkenberg will give you second point scoring finish of the season. Same applies to Fernando Alonso. And Gasly has been up and down, and he's in the points trying to get a couple of them by clearing Alonso. Tsunoda's pace compared to Fernando Alonso is not good. So if that Aston Martin gets it to the end, I think we're going to see Fernando Alonso score at worst 1 point. At the sharp end, time to resolve the places on the podium. These two championship contenders, well, they've been side by side at various points, but not too often, not maybe as much as we expected given Mercedes' dominance this year in Formula One. Kimi Antonelli, a
All right, lads, so if you've just joined, welcome. This is the Dutch Grand Prix, and we are on 65 laps out of 72. Lando Norris is 11 seconds in the lead. Antonelli was actually kicking ass there for a little while until the pit stops. Lando Norris and McLaren, they timed their pit stop quite well, and they actually got the lead. They came out in second, but they had fresher tyres on, and they overtook Antonelli. So it was a good move, and it was on the outside, which is great. So well done to Lando Norris. So he's in the lead, but George Russell is now in second, Antonelli in third, Hamilton in fourth, Leclerc in fifth, Piastri in sixth, Lawson in seventh, Hulkenberg in eighth, Alonso in ninth, and Gasly in 10th. So we've got just a few laps left, 6 laps left. It's looking pretty good for Lando Norris. Of course, you can't say 100%, but it's good, especially if they're going for the championship now.
Point. And Russell listens. He's been thanked by his race engineer, Marcus Dudley. And we move on. But as you say, DC, this season...
Thank you. I know. Head down.
Yeah, we've got the
Head
double
down.
podium here, mate.
Well, Russell's going to be frustrated, David, isn't he? That he's now vulnerable to a car with soft tyres and way more race pace.
Absolutely, and you can hear what he was suggesting. If I'd maintained position, came in with a bit more pace than those fresher tyres, could have defended off against Lewis. Doesn't look like, you can just see how quickly Kimi's pulled away on those fresher tyres. So George has his work cut out to stop Hamilton.
I wondered if they might try the old truck and trailer technique.
Thank you. I know. Head down.
Yeah, we've got the
Head
double
down.
podium here, mate.
Like, okay, I've done the team thing, but if Antonelli doesn't have a chance to go for the win, why am I doing that? You know, we can have a double podium where now I'm going to be vulnerable to Hamilton.
Fair question to ask. Russell complying with the team order into turn one. Who's gone off there? Someone's had a bit of an excursion. Looks like a Williams to me.
Yeah, a bit of body
Alex
work.
Albon. Alex Albon.
Yeah,
No,
some body work,
Sorry.
dragging.
It's called.
Yeah. Okay, so they were racing. The two Williams were racing. So is that as a result of that battle? And it looked like his barge board, or a part of the bodywork, was sort of leveraged under the car.
Well, that would have been dramatic in the path of the race leaders. We'll work out what happened there. Hopefully bring you a review. We're in the final stages of the Dutch Grand Prix. And George Russell is under pressure. So Mercedes have just decided to bank the second place with Kimi Antonelli and give George Russell no opportunity to defend from Lewis Hamilton. And good luck to whoever's interviewing George afterwards, because it's been another tough day at the office.
Yeah, we're hearing there was actually contact between the Williams teammates, and signed to the lock-up and ran into the gravel at turn one. Colapinto, who was behind them both, got the advantage of that. So Hamilton continues to size up Russell, and visibly you can see the difference. Russell having to open the steering and take that wider line through Tarzan. So Hamilton, well, he looked to pounce somewhat earlier in the lap.
10-second time penalty for Franco Colapinto. The problem with this is, isn't it, David, that if you go off the racing line to defend, you allow Hamilton to have the racing line and access to tyres that have more grip. So Russell's going to be hugging the inside of the racetrack.
Yeah, he is in a world of pain right now on those older tyres. Does he have enough state of charge to deploy where he can defend?
Into straight modes. The active aero and now visor cam for Lewis Hamilton, trying to score a podium again at the Dutch Grand Prix. Antonelli saying there's something wrong with the car. It's got like aero degradation. There's nothing on the data. Antonelli's not been happy with the balance all day long. He has not been happy since the opening stint. Laid on the brakes for Lewis, looking to try and get past, not able to do so.
Oh, not on that lap, but if he'd just been a little bit closer, then he could have done an extra deployment on that shallower line. in the run up to this next sequence of corners, but notice has been served.
Slippery surface flag because of, I think, the Williams debris. We'll try and clear that up before the end, but slippery surface flag being displayed at the sweepers around 4, 5 and 6. By the time we get to turn 10, Lewis Hamilton carving away at the back, trying to force Russell in deeper to 10. He wants that inside line. Will he go to the outside now? Doesn't need to risk it. He knows it. Lewis Hamilton, start number 392 in Formula One today.
No, he knows a thing or two about racing. He's always been a very clean racer, Lewis Hamilton. And the only sort of controversial incident that I really recall was the coming together with Max Verstappen at Silverstone and that controversial championship year as the virtual safety cars deployed for that debris.
Yeah, once the slippery surface flag is out for debris, high-speed sweepers, that's the sensible thing to do for race control. There you go. That should have happened way before.
Yeah, plenty of debris there. And sorry, Alex, I was just going to say Leclerc now has joined that party. So Hamilton was on the hunt, but Leclerc on fresher tyres. Here we're going to see the battle between the teammates.
Well, they signed up Sainz and they signed up Albon, and they've celebrated with contact at turn 1.
Oh, well, there was an offset in tyres. Carlos Sainz having done one stop less than his teammate. And as he's hit the brakes, Alex would not have expected him to lock up and then effectively slide into the side of him. It's bad enough having a slow car, but when your teammates are crashing into each other, that is a double whammy.
Well, Williams will try and build back to their illustrious best in Formula One, but it is going to be a long journey. Sainz and Albon part of the team. Sainz multi-year deal. Alex Albon committing for just the one further season, and they will build back. But not the wet day they were hoping for chaos. We've still seen plenty of action on the racetrack. The checkered flag is prepared. We're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Can Russell stay ahead of Hamilton, with Charles Leclerc on the brink of making this a 3-car battle, the final step on the podium? Russell is losing more points to Antonelli, but crucially, Antonelli outscoring both of his nearest rivals for the title. Lando Norris will get the gap down to 80 points in the World Championship. Sort of thing that I'd never have referenced, but after Max Verstappen's heroics last year, got to tell you those gaps in Formula One. Russell, Hamilton in your picture, sky flat corner. Enjoy these pictures of this racetrack of rhythm and excitement and an atmosphere that has been outstanding since FP1 in 2021. Hamilton trying to give the crowd one last overtake to enjoy. Russell determined to repel his old teammate.
Yeah, you can see what he was trying to do there, trying to get that sort of cut back straighter line. It hasn't worked, and well, Charles there, but he's almost observing. It's almost like, right, I'm here to pick up the pieces if this goes wrong.
We're on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. The final 2.6 miles. Lando Norris ahead of Kimi Antonelli, but we'll be watching Lewis Hamilton trying to take third position. George Russell, middle of the road. Doesn't want to go too defensive. Doesn't want to go into a part of the racetrack where Lewis Hamilton can use the superior grip. And as you say, DC, all the while Charles Leclerc's going, go on, into each other, open the door.
Exactly. You when you're in that position, it's like, oh, and he has a go and gets the chop from his teammates, so that's going to neutralize. That's it. I don't see anyone getting a pass now. That's compromised Hamilton, compromised Leclerc, and probably compromised their relationship, quite frankly.
Well, not exactly a productive day for Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton unhappy with the strategy and the deployment of it. Charles Leclerc not thrilled as well, and both of them are going to finish behind a battling George Russell, who will lose points. Lando Norris brilliantly wins the Dutch Grand Prix, back-to-back Grand Prix victory in Formula One for the world champion, who is accessing the very most of his talent. And he has proven so again with a storming drive. Antonelli in second.
All right, guys, that is it. That's a wrap for the Dutch Grand Prix, and Lando Norris takes the win. So he's over 80 points. We'll have to do a little tally now, but we'll talk about that on the podcast now. The podcast will be out tomorrow morning. More insights, we'll go into a little bit more detail on what we should look at now for the rest of the season. Does Lando Norris have a good chance of actually winning the championship? Hell yes, he does. 2 wins out of the last 2, Hungary and now. They've got a great car with those great upgrades. It's game on, man. And even we saw Verstappen last year, he was 100 plus points behind and he nearly won the championship, for Christ's sake. So anything can happen here, and he's less. And we've got, 10 rounds left? All Norris has to do is keep getting those race wins. If Antonelli gets 3rd, 4th, 5th, even for 3 or 4 race wins, even if Norris gets 3 or 4 race wins versus Antonelli getting 3 or 4 3rd, 4th positions, he's monstrously cutting down into that championship lead. This is far from over. So guys, we will be back on Monza in 2 weeks' time. On the Saturday and the Sunday, we'll come out with the timetable soon. I love you all. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. It was great. Fantastic. Bit of a boring race, yes, but we'll go through anyway more on the podcast for tomorrow morning. And guys, we'll see you at Monza. Thanks.